My girlfriend said, "I'm here to see if he's worth keeping." I replied, "I already did." Then I walked out, blocked her, canceled the house deal, and screenshot the better match calendar entry, email, and invoice, then packed a duffel and left, and a signed agreement was still open. The first thing that made my stomach drop was an email subject line on our shared laptop. It popped up while I was packing my work bag in the dark kitchen. The subject said, "Couples Session Intake, Worth Keeping Worksheet." I did not open it yet, but I already felt the insult. I live in Duluth, Minnesota, near the hill roads that look down on the lake. Our duplex always smelled like wet wool from the boot tray and the pine cleaner we used on the old wood floors. Every morning, the radiator clicked and hissed like it was clearing its throat. I used to think that sound meant home. I was 38 then, and I worked at the port testing heavy lifting gear. I set up certified weights, run the hoists, and watch for small signs of danger before something snaps. At work, we call it a stress test because you find the truth when you apply pressure. I never guessed I would need that same rule in my own living room. My girlfriend was Saskia Wren, 37, and she was a licensed residential appraiser for a regional credit union. Her job was value, paperwork, and strict rules about honesty. She liked to say, "Numbers don't lie," like it was a comfort. Sometimes she used it like a blade. We had been dating a little over 3 years and living together for 11 months. We were not engaged yet, but we were looking at houses like it was the next step. A small Lakeview place in Lakeside was on hold, and the seller wanted our final decision by Monday morning. That deadline sat over everything like a storm cloud. The tension started months before the counseling session. Saskia began speaking about me like I was a project, not a partner. If I wore my work jacket to dinner, she would sigh and ask if I had anything cleaner. If I told a story, she would correct it like she was editing a report. One night I asked her straight, "Do you even like me the way I am?" She smiled, sweet at first, and said, "Of course." Then her tone sharpened and she added, "I just want you to be the version I know you can be." That was confrontation one, and it left me feeling like I was always one mistake away from being demoted. A week later, she told me she booked couples therapy. She said it like she booked an oil change, quick and practical. I asked why, and she said, "Because we need a professional to tell us if this makes sense." She did not say to help us, she said to tell us. Here is the first advice I learned from this. If someone turns a serious talk into a scoreboard, do not try to win by performing harder. Love is not an audition. If they keep asking you to prove you deserve a seat, you will never feel safe in it. The counseling was with an older attorney mediator named Drayton Sisk. He did family mediation and also held counseling sessions for couples who wanted structure and clear decisions. His office was in a converted bank building downtown, with thick doors and a faint smell of old paper. The waiting room had 2 chairs that faced each other like they were meant for a fight. We sat down and Drayton asked why we were there. Saskia crossed her legs and spoke first, calm and polished. She said, "I'm here to figure out if he's worth keeping or if I should find someone better." She did not look at me when she said it. I stared at her for a full second, like my brain needed time to accept it. Then I heard my own voice, steady and quiet. "Good question," I said, and I stood up and left. Drayton did not chase me, and Saskia did not call my name once. Outside, the air was sharp and cold, and my hands shook even though I felt calm inside. I walked to my truck and sat there with the engine off. A part of me wanted to go back in and argue, but another part of me knew this was the most honest moment we had in months. That was the mini hook I could not ignore. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Saskia texted, "Can we talk?" I stared at the words until they looked small. I typed one reply and kept it simple. "You're still figuring things out." "I already did," I wrote. Then I blocked her number. I drove to the port and finished my shift like my body was on autopilot. The wind off the lake cut through my jacket and chains clanged against steel like a warning bell. At work, a stress test tells you what a system can handle. That day I learned what I could handle too. When I got home that evening, Saskia was there, walking fast from room to room like she was trying to rearrange reality. She knocked on the bathroom door and said my name, then knocked again. I did not answer, because the only answer she wanted was my return to the old role. I slept on the couch and listened to the radiator click in the dark. In the morning she was quiet, then suddenly angry, then quiet again. That swing felt like pressure building behind a closed valve. I left for work early and took my lunch break in my truck. That was when I finally opened our shared calendar on the laptop, because I needed to cancel the house appointment. A new entry was there for Saturday night, bright and bold like she wanted it noticed. Better Match VIP Mixer, Lake Superior Club, 700 p.m. It had a dress code note and a downtown address. That was the location proof, and it was clean. She had called counseling a way to decide if I made sense. Then she scheduled a mixer for better options, like it was already the plan. The timing was what hurt most, because the mixer was the same weekend we were supposed to sign for the house. I canceled the showing and the loan appointment with one short message to the agent. I did not explain the whole story. I just said, "We are not moving forward." It felt like pulling a plug before water destroys the room. Here is the second advice, and it is practical. When a deadline is pushing you into a bigger commitment, slow down on purpose. A house and a shared loan will not fix disrespect. If you ignore the warning signs, you will end up trapped by paperwork. That night I moved through the kitchen like a ghost, making coffee, packing my gear, and pretending this was normal. Saskia sat at the table with her laptop open and her face too calm. She asked if I was really going to throw everything away over one sentence. I said, "It wasn't one sentence." She leaned back and said, "You're making it dramatic." Then she added, "This is exactly what Drayton needs to see." Her tone was cold and calm, like she was building a case. The next day I found the communication proof without looking for it. Our budgeting app was on my phone, and a notification popped up because Saskia had linked her work email for statements. A preview showed another email subject line, this time from Better Match Concierge. It said, "Welcome, Saskia. Your criteria review is attached." I did not hack anything. I simply tapped the notification because it was tied to our shared budget profile, and the preview expanded. In the body, I saw one line that made me go numb. "Current partner present, needs evaluation for replacement timeline." I took a screenshot and saved it. I also took a second screenshot that showed the date and the sender. I felt sick, but I felt clear. That night, Saskia tried to talk like nothing was wrong. She offered me dinner in a soft voice, like she was generous. Then she said, "We can work through this if you stop being so sensitive." The sweetness lasted 2 minutes, and then her eyes sharpened again. I asked her, "Did you join a matchmaking service?" She denied it first, quick and neat. "No," she said, and she did not blink. Then she minimized it. "It's not matchmaking," she said. "It's networking." She tried to laugh like it was harmless. Then she partially admitted. "Okay, I looked," she said, lifting her chin. "I needed to see what's out there." Her voice carried pride, like she expected me to accept it. Then she went for the emotional move. "You're not enough for my future," she said, quieter, like she was delivering a verdict. "And you're acting like a victim because I'm honest." I stared at her and realized the counseling was never meant to bring us closer. The money proof came the next morning as an invoice screenshot on our shared statement page. It was a charge labeled Better Match Premier Retainer, and it was not small. The invoice was dated 2 days before the counseling session. She had paid for Better before she ever sat in that chair with me. That was the moment the whole timeline locked into place. The email worksheet, the counseling line, the VIP mixer, the retainer. It was all one plan, stacked in order. I needed one last piece to know I was not imagining it. I found it in the simplest way. Saskia left her laptop open on the couch while she showered, and a downloads folder was still on the screen. There was a PDF titled Better Match Agreement signed. I did not dig through private folders because the file was already open on top, like she forgot to hide it. The signature block at the bottom showed her full name, date, and a checkmark that confirmed she signed it. That signed document was the killer receipt because it spelled out her intent in plain words. One line stood out like a bruise. "Client requests discretion. Current partner unaware. Client prefers higher status social circle." I read it twice and felt something in me go quiet. I packed a duffel with clothes and my work gear and left before she came out of the bathroom. I moved into a small room I rented from a retired dock worker in West Duluth. The place smelled like sawdust and old coffee, and the bed squeaked every time I turned over. It was not comfortable, but it was peaceful. Drayton Sisk called me that evening from a number I did not recognize. I almost ignored it, but I answered because I wanted closure, not a fight. He asked if I was safe and said he could not share what Saskia said after I left. Then he added one short thing that mattered. He said, "You did the one move that keeps a person whole. You refused to audition." His voice was calm and flat, like he had seen this before. He offered to email me a simple attendance note for my records, nothing dramatic, just proof I left quietly. I thanked him and ended the call. Here is the third advice, and it fits this story. When someone tries to rewrite your reaction as unstable, protect your timeline. Save the messages. Save the dates. Calm boundaries are stronger when you can show the facts. 2 days later, Saskia tried to reach me through a new number. She left a message saying she was ready to be serious. I did not answer because she was not serious about us. She was serious about control. She tried again through a work email she still had access to on the budgeting profile. She wrote, "Drayton thinks you're avoidant." I knew it was a lie because Drayton had been careful and respectful. The fallout started at her job in a way she did not expect. Saskia had used her credit union work email on the Better Match contract because she liked the look of it. Better Match emailed her a premium profile review and attached a document that included lender-client neighborhood details she should not have shared. The credit union's compliance filter flagged it. An internal audit asked questions. Saskia told people she was being targeted, but audit does not care about feelings. They cared about what she attached, what she used, and what rules she broke. Her wealthy friends did not stand by her when it got uncomfortable. They stopped inviting her to anything with donors or committees. The same people who taught her to chase better also taught her to drop anything that looks messy. Watching that happen was sad, not satisfying. A month later, she tried to contact me on LinkedIn with a message that started, "I miss you." I did not reply. I deleted it and tightened my privacy settings. My life got quieter in the best way. I took extra shifts at the port and moved into a better apartment near Lincoln Park, with a view of the lake that looked like steel in the winter. My boss offered me a lead role because I was steady and clear under pressure. I smiled when I signed the papers, because I knew I earned that without performing for anyone. That spring, I met Nomi Cavan at a safety training event for dock workers and rescue crews. She coordinated equipment checks for a volunteer rescue unit, and she spoke with a calm confidence that felt real. She asked what I did, and when I explained, she nodded like it mattered. She never asked where I came from or who I knew. One evening, Nomi and I walked up the hill at Injure Park and watched the city lights blink on below us. The wind was cold, and we shared a thermos of tea that tasted like cinnamon. She told me, "You deserve someone who is proud to stand next to you." That simple sentence hit harder than any therapy session. I still run stress tests at work. I still watch for the small signs before something fails. The difference now is I do not ignore the warning lights in my own life. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel.